So for the better part of, what, 2 decades now, business intelligence really followed this sacred ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Data gets cleaned, polished, presented on a dashboard. We poured, vast resources into designing charts, KPIs, reports.
All static, right? Just sitting there on a screen.
Exactly. But if you've been tracking how agentic AI is maturing, that whole visual way of doing things, it's starting to crumble.
It really is. We're seeing a pretty radical shift, actually, fundamental,
Yeah.
in how people access and use data inside companies.
Yeah, and that's a really good way to put it. It's shifting beyond just looking at, pretty pictures of numbers.
Right. So our mission for this deep dive, and we're basing this on source material that details this massive change, is really to unpack that journey from dashboards to dialogues.
Okay.
We need to get our heads around how agentic AI, and that means systems that don't just crunch data, but can actively, reason, link actions together, advise.
They think, basically.
They think, yeah. How that's making business data talk back, giving context, advice, even action plans, instead of just raw numbers.
And the biggest thing that jumps out right away is how the culture is changing. For years, companies were so proud of that static display of KPIs. Now, the whole idea is shifting from passively looking at data to actively, naturally talking with it. That's a huge conceptual leap for everyone, isn't it?
It really is. And if you look back at the old way, the traditional approach, it's kind of fascinating how much mental work it put on the user.
Oh, definitely.
The limits of old analytics meant the human brain had to do all the heavy lifting. Interpretation, deciding which report out of 50 to even look at.
Right, applying the right filters in the right order.
And then manually trying to connect all these different charts and graphs to figure something out. You, the user, had to be the data scientist, the interpreter, the decision maker, all based on silent visuals.
Okay, so let's unpack this new conversational way, because it sounds like it completely flips the workload.
It does.
Instead of the user wrestling with a complex interface,
Yeah.
the system handles the complexity. The user just asks a question in plain English.
Pretty much, yeah. They simply ask a natural language question.
So what does that actually look like? Say, for someone in retail operations or a supply chain planner, what are they asking?
Well, they're asking these really pointed, high-value business questions, questions that need synthesis, not just fetching data. They're not typing show Q3 revenue.
Okay.
They're asking things like, why did sales drop significantly in Region 2 last week, and which categories were hit hardest?
Ah, much more direct.
Or even pushing the system towards optimization, like which specific stores underperformed compared to their foot traffic potential, and what immediate actions should we maybe think about?
And that's where the agentic part really kicks in, right? That last bit,
Yeah.
What actions should we recommend?
Exactly.
That shows the system isn't just reporting history, it's advising on future strategy.
Spot on. And the source material draws a really clear line here. The AI doesn't just answer the question. It explains the context. It advises on potential solutions.
And sometimes it can even act, like initiate something.
Yeah, if it's integrated properly, it could submit a work order or trigger a stock transfer. And that's the key difference the sources talk about, moving from passive insight to active intelligence.
Passive insight versus active intelligence. I like that.
It's a crucial distinction, and you can actually trace this evolution through sort of 3 stages that companies seem to be going through.
Okay, what are those?
We're moving from dashboarding, just showing the raw or maybe aggregated data, through storyboarding, where the system starts to explain the why, the context, the narrative around the data.
So it tells you what the data means.
Right. And then finally to decisioning. That's the active intelligence layer, providing advice, simulations, potential actions. Storyboarding is that vital middle step, turning numbers into meaning before you decide anything.
Okay, but if the AI is suddenly doing all this explaining, giving the why, advising actions, does that create a risk? Are we making users too dependent, maybe losing critical thinking skills?
That's a really important question, and it comes up a lot. It actually changes what we mean by data literacy.
How so?
The goal isn't to make the job simpler in a bad way. It's about automating the really tedious parts. The user isn't wasting time finding reports or trying to connect dots anymore.
Right.
They're focused entirely on asking the next strategic question or maybe critiquing the AI's recommendation. They shift from being data navigators to being like strategic partners with the AI.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So let's talk tangible benefits then. The real-world impact seen in these pilots is CPG, retail, field ops. What are they actually seeing?
Yeah, the first really dramatic benefit is much, much faster employee onboarding.
Okay.
The conversational interface is just a massive accelerator. Think about a new operations person starting.
Instead of weeks of dashboard training.
Exactly. Forget weeks of learning complex, often custom-built dashboards. They immediately get a chat interface connected to the data.
So it's like getting a digital mentor instead of a user manual. They can just ask, show me our highest margin product line, or what was the return rate last month?
Or even, what are the typical inventory problems for the Seattle distribution center?
Hmm.
The system guides them, helps with follow-up questions, teaches the business context as they go.
And the results are measurable.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Training and onboarding time to get meaningful insights, it plummets. We're talking 50 to 70% reductions in some of these early deployments.
Wow, 50 to 70%.
New hires are finding insights, contributing strategically, sometimes within minutes or hours, not weeks, because the interface handles the complexity.
Okay, that covers speed, which is huge.
Yeah.
But the really strategic leap, the thing that sounds most exciting in the source material, is this second benefit. Amplifying strategic insight using frameworks.
Yes. This is where it gets really interesting.
This sounds like the AI stops being just a helpful assistant and starts acting more like a top-tier management consultant.
That's a great analogy. We're seeing a definite shift towards framework-driven responses. This is enabled by some pretty sophisticated prompt engineering happening behind the scenes.
Okay.
So the AI isn't just dumping raw numbers on you. It's intelligently structuring the output using established business thinking, established methodologies.
Give us an example, like contrast raw data versus data wrapped in a framework.
Okay, let's use the balance scorecard. Traditionally, you might get a report saying customer satisfaction scores dropped 4%. Period.
Right, a passive number.
Exactly. With the conversational framework approach, the system might say something like, customer satisfaction dipped 4%. That's the customer pillar, which strongly correlates with an 8% rise in product defects found last week. Process pillar.
Linking it across different parts of the strategy.
Precisely, and it might continue. This issue, if we don't address it, threatens our planned 5% revenue growth for Q4. That's the financial pillar. It immediately gives you the so what.
It connects the dots strategically.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
It is. Or think about the business model canvas. Instead of just margin data, the AI structures the info into cost structure, customer segments, channel efficiency.
No.
You can even use models like Porter's 5 Forces to get insights on competitive pressure, or Sequoia's ARC framework for product market fit. The AI looks at sales data and contextualizes it. Are we actually hitting product market fit based on these numbers?
So the takeaway here is it's not just about getting data faster. It's about having better, more structured strategic conversations about the data.
Absolutely. It elevates the whole function of analytics.
The focus shifts, doesn't it?
Completely. It shifts from what number changed to, okay, what strategic move should we make now, and why does this actually matter for the long-term plan? This really pushes the organization from needing just data literacy, knowing how to run the report,
Right.
to needing true business fluency, understanding the strategic implications of what the data is telling you.
Okay, so dashboards to dialogues was a big enough shift. But now some companies are taking another step, moving beyond screens entirely into sound.
Yeah, we're seeing the emergence of what the source material calls co-pilot podcasts.
Copilot podcasts, explain that.
It's kind of the perfect evolution for people who aren't glued to a desk, right? The field manager, supply chain folks out in the warehouse, executives traveling between sites.
Makes sense.
Generative AI is basically taking complex daily or weekly business data and turning it into short, narrated audio briefings, designed to be listened to on a commute, on a flight, maybe while walking the factory floor.
So the AI is essentially creating a custom news report just for your business.
That's a good way to think about it. You get these AI-generated stories like, good morning, revenue was up 8% last week, mainly driven by unexpected foot traffic spikes in the Northeast cities. However, be aware, inventory gaps are still critical for Category C products, which puts fulfilling that demand spike at risk.
Wow. And presumably, you can tailor these.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. The delivery is customized to the listener's role, how much time they have. A CEO might get, say, a tight 3-minute executive summary.
Okay.
A planner might get a 10-minute deep dive with more detail. A store manager gets a quick daily pulse just on their specific location.
So let's recap that evolution. Dashboards just showed what happened. Conversations explain why and suggest what to do. And these Copilot podcasts, they tell the story of the business, bringing the intelligence to wherever you physically are.
Nicely summarized. And this whole transformation, it helps to make it concrete by looking at who's actually building these layers. It's powered by some key innovators.
Like who?
Well, companies like Nimble, for instance, they specialize in creating those conversational AI layers that sit on top of existing, often static data warehouses. They turn that data into something interactive, explanatory, a story.
And we also see that crucial link from insight directly to action, right?
Absolutely. Take a company like Udistry. Their focus is inventory redistribution. A planner can literally ask the system, where's my slowest moving stock in the South, and where can I shift it to sell faster while maximizing margin?
And the AI responds how?
It doesn't just give a list of SKUs and locations. It delivers a reasoned, actionable plan like move X units from store A to store B by Wednesday within seconds.
That's incredible. What about being proactive?
Yeah, another great example pushing that angle is 11 Ants. Their whole thing isn't just answering your question, it's proactively surfacing what you didn't ask but really should know.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, maybe flagging that a competitor just dropped their price significantly on a product that competes directly with your top seller, even if you weren't specifically asking about competitor pricing.
Ah, so it's moving from reactive Q&A to being truly ahead of the curve strategically.
Exactly. Anticipatory strategy driven by the AI.
Okay, so that brings us to what feels like the ultimate step. When this dialogue leaps off the screen altogether, you're talking about conversational interfaces moving into the physical world.
Yeah, thanks to advances in embodied AI. Think companies like General Robotics or Figure AI, who are focused on putting AI into physical forms.
So robots joining the conversation.
Essentially, yes. This is the era of the embodied interface. The digital twin of your operation doesn't just exist on a server, it walks around and talks to you.
Wow. Okay, paint a picture. What does that look like?
Imagine walking through a huge warehouse or a big retail store, and the humanoid robot designed to manage stock. It's not just silently scanning shelves anymore.
Okay.
Based on the real-time data it's gathering, it proactively starts a conversation with the human manager.
What would it actually say?
It might walk up and say something like, Manager, I've detected shelf 3B is trending dangerously low on those high-velocity items. My forecast shows a stockout risk within about 4 hours. Should I automatically reorder from the back room, or do you want me to trigger an urgent redistribution from location 6?
So the digital twin becomes a literal dialogue partner.
Yeah.
It's bridging data and physical action right there on the floor.
Exactly. The data stops being this abstract thing on a screen and becomes a voice offering reasoned suggestions for immediate physical fixes.
This obviously has massive implications for how organizations run. It goes way beyond just having a better tool.
Oh, huge implications. It reshapes the whole system.
Yeah.
Decision cycles get compressed dramatically. You go from waiting for end-of-week reports to getting real-time advised actions.
And you mentioned democratizing data fluency.
Critically, yes. Because the AI handles the technical complexity, every employee can become insight-enabled. You don't need to be a data specialist anymore.
And the knowledge builds over time.
Right, compounds. Every question asked, every framework applied, it teaches both the user and the AI model. You build this living, evolving knowledge base for the company. Plus, because insights often come wrapped in those strategic frameworks, like the balanced scorecard.
Strategy itself becomes more of a shared story.
Exactly, a coherent narrative the whole company can understand and contribute to.
So all these changes really demand a new mindset for business intelligence.
Absolutely. And it's captured perfectly, I think, by the new mantra suggested in the source material, ask, don't analyze.
Ask, don't analyze. I like that.
The key skill isn't finding the right dashboard anymore. It's asking the right strategic question. The future of analytics is becoming verbal, contextual, alive. It's breaking free from just being visual.
That really sums up an enormous shift. Conversational AI, agentic AI, they're speeding up decisions, spreading knowledge, and turning data from a passive thing you look at into an active partner you talk with.
And that transformation into active dialogue partners brings us right back to where we started this deep dive.
It does. So here's a final thought for you, our listeners, to chew on, building on all this. If this agentic conversational AI isn't just advising us from a screen, but is actually moving into the physical world, creating robot dialogue partners that walk up and suggest autonomous actions, how does that fundamental shift in the interface redefine what it even means to be data literate? What does literacy look like when the data literally talks to you and tells you what it thinks you should do next?